Hashtag clapperboard opening hook intro lines. Imagine this, a crime scene where police expected the stench of death, but instead, the air was filled with the sweet fragrance of flowers. Rose. This wasn't a garden. It was a grave, and buried beneath those petals was a secret so disturbing it would shake everyone who saw it. Hashtag high voltage suspense plus call to action, 20 to 30% mark. And when detectives started digging beneath those perfect flower beds, what they uncovered was more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. If you want to hear the full story, and if you want more chilling tales like this, hit that subscribe button right now, and drop a comment with a ghost or crime story you wanted to cover next. Fire This will hook your viewers instantly, keep them glued, and naturally push them to subscribe plus engage. Here's a cinematic YouTube script for your story idea. Title asterisk, the crime scene smelled like flowers, but it was a grave asterisk. /1, powerful hook, asterisk. The police expected the stench of death. Instead, the air was filled with roses. /2, suspenseful setup, asterisk. A quiet suburban garden. Neighbors whispered it looked like a fairy tale. Fresh soil, perfectly arranged flowers. But beneath the beauty was horror. Someone had buried their darkest secret here, and the way they hid it was almost poetic. /3, build up, asterisk. It started with a complaint. A neighbor swore they saw someone digging a yard at night. At first, officers brushed it off. Maybe gardening, maybe nothing. But something felt wrong. The ground was too freshly turned. The flower bed seemed too carefully placed. When detectives arrived, they noticed it instantly. The fragrance of lilies, heavy in the air. The garden almost invited you closer. But the deeper they dug, the more the truth bled through. /4, mid-story CTA, asterisk. If you're hooked already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more chilling stories like this. /5, main climax, asterisk. Under the blanket of petals was a shallow grave. A body wrapped in plastic, hands bound, face bruised. The killer hadn't just buried their victim. They dressed the grave with flowers, as if mocking the very idea of peace. Detectives realized something even darker. This wasn't the first garden, and it wouldn't be the last. /6, cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk. Who planted the flowers of death? And why did every grave carry a different bloom? The answer would haunt investigators for years. To be continued. Perfect. Let's pick up exactly where we left off, carrying the tension forward without breaking the flow. Title asterisk, The Flowers of Death, Part 2. /1, powerful hook, asterisk. Every grave had its own flower, and each flower told a story the killer wanted the world to hear. /2, suspenseful setup, asterisk. Detectives began to notice the pattern. One grave marked with roses, another with lilies, another with marigolds. They weren't just decorations. They were symbols. A twisted language only the killer understood. /3, build up, asterisk. Forensics worked day and night. The plastic wrapping, the bindings, the soil under the fingernails. Every detail was a clue. But the flowers, they weren't random. Each bloom matched the meaning in old folklore. Roses for love, lilies for purity, marigolds for grief. The killer wasn't hiding bodies. They were writing messages in petals. And then came the chilling realization. The next victim could already be chosen, and the next flower already planted. /4, mid-story CTA, asterisk. If you can't look away from this mystery, hit subscribe now, because these cases only get darker from here. /5, main climax, asterisk. Investigators traced the rare lilies to a single nursery, owned by a man who lived just a few miles from the crime scenes. On paper, he was harmless, a quiet gardener, known for his gentle smile. But when detectives searched his home, they found something that froze them in their tracks. In his basement sat a notebook, Every page sketched with flowers. Every drawing paired with a name. Some of the names matched the victims. Others hadn't been reported missing yet. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution. ***. Was this a kill list? Or was it something even worse? A ritual still unfolding? The answer would push the investigation into the darkest chapter yet. To be continued. Got it? Here's part 3, picking up right where we left off. Title ***, The Flowers of Death, Part 3. /1. Powerful hook, ***. A notebook filled with flowers. And names of people who weren't even missing yet. /2. Suspenseful setup, ***. Detectives stared at the pages. Each sketch was detailed, almost loving. Every line of ink was careful, precise. But the names written beside them, they were real people. People still alive. For now. /re. Build up, ***. Psychologists were brought in. They believed the killer saw murder as art. Each victim, a canvas. Each flower, a signature. The symbols weren't chosen at random. They were confessions and taunts. One page showed a daisy. Beside it, the name of a local school teacher. Daisy's the flower of innocence. When police rushed to check on her, they found something terrifying. She was alive, but outside her classroom window sat a freshly planted pot of daisies. The killer was already watching her, already choosing her. /4. Mid-story CTA ***. If this has your heart racing, subscribe now, because every detail gets darker and you don't want to miss it. /5. Main climax ***. The investigation turned into a race against time. Detectives now had a list of potential victims, but not enough resources to protect them all. And then the next grave was found. This time, it wasn't hidden behind roses or lilies. It was left in the open. No flowers. No disguise. Just a body laid bare in the soil. Almost as if the killer wanted them to see it. A message. A challenge. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution ***. Why did the killer break their own pattern? And what did it mean for the names still left in the notebook? The truth was about to shatter everything investigators thought they knew. To be continued. Perfect. Let's dive into part 4, right where we left off. Title ***, The Flowers of Death, Part 4. /1. Powerful hook, ***. For the first time, the grave was bare. No flowers. No mask. Just a body staring back at investigators, as if the killer wanted to be caught. /2. Suspenseful setup, ***. Detectives gathered around in silence. This wasn't part of the pattern. The flowers were gone. The ritual was broken, and that terrified them more than anything before, because when killers change their method, it usually means one thing. They're escalating. /re. Build up, ***. The victim was different, too. Not a stranger. Not a quiet target. This time, it was someone close to the case. A retired officer. One who had worked the first flower murder. On his chest, tucked into his shirt pocket, was a single pressed daisy. No fresh bloom. No fragrance. Just dried, brittle petals. The killer hadn't abandoned the ritual. They had evolved it. And in the notebook, investigators found a chilling update. Names were being crossed out in red ink. Not after murders. Before. /4. Mid-story CTA ***. If this is twisting your stomach like it did mine, subscribe right now, because the next discovery is even worse. /5. Main climax ***. A profiler studied the order of the flowers. Roses, lilies, marigolds, daisies. At first, it looked like random symbolism, but then a hidden pattern emerged. The flowers weren't just messages. They were stages. Each bloom followed the cycle of life, from love to purity to loss to innocence destroyed. And the notebook? It wasn't just a kill list. It was a timeline, a sequence, a story the killer was writing victim by victim. /6 cliffhanger slash resolution ***. Only a handful of names remained uncrossed, and the last page was blank. But detectives feared they knew what would come next. The killer wasn't finished. They were waiting to plant their final flower. To be continued. All right, let's continue seamlessly into Part 5, turning the tension even higher. Title ** The Flowers of Death, Part 5, /1 Powerful Hook, ***. The killer wasn't hiding anymore. This time, they reached out to detectives directly. /2 Suspenseful setup, ***. One morning, a package arrived at the precinct, wrapped carefully. No fingerprints. Inside was a single flower, a fresh orchid, and with it a note, for words, written in perfect script. *, you're part of it. *3 build up, *. The message shook the entire team. The orchid wasn't in the notebook. It wasn't part of the cycle, which meant one of two things. Either the killer had rewritten their ritual, or they had saved the most dangerous stage for last. Detectives scrambled to trace the package. Every delivery driver was questioned, every camera along the route checked. But the box seemed to appear from nowhere, like it had bloomed from the shadows. And then, a detective found something hidden beneath the orchid stem, a sliver of paper, a name. It wasn't random. It was the lead investigator on the case. /4 mid-story CTA ***. If this just sent chills down your spine, hit subscribe now, because what comes next is beyond chilling. /5 main climax ***. That night, the detective's home was searched for security. In the backyard, freshly disturbed soil, and in the center, a small mound, topped with a single orchid. The killer had been there. They weren't threatening anymore. They were promising. /6 cliffhanger slash resolution ***. Why the orchid? Why the detective? And what did the unfinished final page of the notebook truly mean? The answers were about to twist the case into something far darker than anyone imagined. To be continued. Here we go. Part 6, picking up right from the orchid in the detective's yard. Title ** The Flowers of Death. Part 6, /1 Powerful Hook, ***. An orchid on fresh soil, planted in the detective's own backyard. The killer wasn't just sending a message. They were declaring war. /2 Suspenseful setup, ***. The team knew orchids weren't random. In ancient symbolism, orchids meant obsession, power, control, and sometimes death. This wasn't about victims anymore. It was personal. The detective had become part of the ritual. /re build up, ***. Experts dug deeper into the notebook. Every flower before the orchid followed a pattern. Love, purity, grief, innocence. But orchids were different. They represented the end. The final bloom in the killer's twisted garden, which meant one thing. The detective wasn't just another name. They were meant to be the last name. The finale, the chilling part. The killer had been preparing for this for years. Because in the very first sketch of the notebook, long before any murders began, there was an orchid drawn in heavy ink. Beside it, no name, just one single word. *hunter, *4 mid-story CTA ***. If this case has you gripped, subscribe now, because the darkest chapter is only beginning. /5 main climax ***. Surveillance was placed on the detective day and night. Every movement tracked, every call monitored. But one evening when he returned home, the team found something waiting in his living room. A bouquet of orchids, arranged perfectly in a vase. No broken locks. No signs of forced entry. The killer had walked straight into his home and left behind their signature. /6 cliffhanger slash resolution ***. How did they bypass the alarms? How did they know every detail of the detective's life? And more terrifying, was the killer already someone on the inside? The next revelation would tear the case apart. To be continued. Perfect. Here's part 7, raising the stakes with suspicion turning inward. Title asterisk, The Flowers of Death. Part 7. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk, asterisk. The killer had been inside the detective's home. No broken locks. No alarms tripped, which left investigators asking one terrifying question. Was the killer already one of them? /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk, asterisk. The task force split into factions. Some believed it was an outsider with access. Others whispered the truth no one wanted to face. A mole inside the department. Because every move the team made, the killer seemed one step ahead. Every raid, every lead, all compromised. /re, build up, asterisk, asterisk. An internal investigation began quietly. Phones tapped. Surveillance on their own officers. Even background checks reopened. That's when they discovered something unsettling. One detective on the team had a history of gardening, an obsession with flowers, and an unexplained gap in their past. 2 years unaccounted for. At first, it seemed circumstantial. Until one late night, security cameras caught a figure, entering the evidence room. Silent, hooded. When investigators reviewed the tape frame by frame, they froze. The intruder placed a flower on the evidence table. An orchid. /4. Mid-story CTA asterisk asterisk. If you're still here, you're as hooked as I am. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. /5. Main climax asterisk asterisk. When the hood came down, the grainy footage revealed the impossible. It was a member of their own team. The very detective tasked with protecting the lead investigator. But before they could arrest them, that officer vanished. Their badge left behind, their car abandoned, and on the driver's seat, a notebook identical to the killer's. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk, asterisk. Was this proof the killer had been among them all along? Or had the real murderer planted the perfect frame-up? The truth would explode the case wide open, and the flowers of death were about to bloom again. To be continued. Here we go. Part 8. Turning the manhunt into something even darker. Title asterisk, The Flowers of Death. Part 8. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk, asterisk. A detective gone. A badge abandoned. And a second notebook filled with flowers. But what investigators found inside suggested the unthinkable. /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk, asterisk. The missing officer was now the prime suspect. Every headline screamed betrayal. A cop turned killer. But the second notebook wasn't the same. It was sloppier, pages torn, flowers mislabeled, almost like a copy, which raised a chilling possibility. Was the detective really the killer, or just a pawn? /re, build up, asterisk, asterisk. The manhunt began at dawn. Roadblocks, helicopters, every exit out of the county sealed. And then a tip came in. A gardener reported seeing someone digging near the woods. When police rushed the scene, they found a half-dug hole, and inside another body. But this grave was different. The flowers weren't arranged with care. They were scattered, broken, messy, and in the victim's hand. A single clue, a petal from an orchid. But the stem had been snapped violently. It didn't fit the killer's ritual. It felt rushed, chaotic, like someone else was trying to imitate the murderers. /4. Mid-story CTA asterisk, asterisk. If you can feel this story spiraling deeper, subscribe right now, because what happens next changes everything. /5. Main climax, asterisk, asterisk. Forensics confirmed it. The missing detective's fingerprints were everywhere. On the shovel, on the bindings, on the plastic wrap. It looked like a confession written in dirt. But the profiler noticed something the others missed. The flowers. The orchids weren't real. They were plastic. The true killer never used fakes. Which meant only one thing. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk, asterisk. There wasn't just one killer. There were two. And the second one had just revealed themselves. A copycat or an accomplice? No one knew, but the flowers of death were now blooming in pairs. To be continued. All right, let's push forward into Part 9, where the case fractures into chaos. Title asterisk The Flowers of Death, Part 9. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk asterisk. 2 killers, 1 ritual, and a notebook that no longer made sense. /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk asterisk. The task force split in two. Half believed the missing detective had snapped, turned into a monster hiding in plain sight. The other half believed something darker. The detective had been framed by the real mastermind, but with bodies piling up, there wasn't time to argue. Both possibilities had to be hunted. /re. Build up, asterisk asterisk. Forensics combed the copycat's grave again. The bindings, the soil, the plastic, everything screamed rushed. Then they uncovered something chilling, a receipt, crumpled, buried with the body. It traced back to a hardware store. When police checked surveillance, they expected to see the missing detective, but the footage showed someone else. A tall figure in gloves, face hidden under a hood, and in their cart, rolls of plastic wrap, rope, and fake orchids. /4. Mid-story CTA, asterisk asterisk. If this is twisting your stomach, like it did mine, subscribe now, because the next reveal will leave you speechless. /5. Main climax, asterisk asterisk. Detectives slowed down the footage. The figure turned their head just slightly toward the camera, enough to catch one frame of their face. And when investigators froze the image, their blood ran cold. It wasn't the missing detective. It was someone else entirely. Someone connected to every victim. Someone they had overlooked. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk asterisk. Who was this shadow figure with the fake flowers? And how were they tied to the original killer's ritual? The investigation had finally found its second suspect, but what they uncovered next would change everything. To be continued. Here we go, Part 10, where the shadowy second figure finally comes into focus. Title asterisk The Flowers of Death, Part 10. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk asterisk. The grainy footage showed a face, not the missing detective, but someone investigators knew all too well. /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk asterisk. It was the florist, the quiet nursery owner who'd sold lilies, roses, and orchids to half the town. He'd been interviewed early in the case, smiled, answered politely, and walked away without suspicion. Now there he was, caught buying fake orchids, rope, and plastic, caught feeding the ritual with his own twisted touch. /re. Build up, asterisk asterisk. Detectives scrambled to connect the dots. The florist had access to every flower used in the killings. He knew their meanings, their folklore, but his notebook was different. Cheap paper, shaky sketches. It was imitation, not creation, which meant the florist wasn't the mastermind. He was a follower, a worshiper, and maybe the partner. The missing detective had vanished. The florist was caught on tape, and the flowers of death were blooming faster than ever. /4. Mid-story CTA, asterisk asterisk. If you're still hooked, subscribe now, because the partnership about to be revealed is darker than anyone imagined. /5. Main climax, asterisk asterisk. When police raided the florist's home, they found a hidden room behind the greenhouse. Inside, walls covered in dried flowers, shelves stacked with soil samples from every grave, and in the center, a shrine, 2 notebooks side by side, one old, precise, and filled with real murders. The other, new, messy, and desperate to keep up, pinned above them on the wall, a photograph of 2 men, smiling, arms around each other, the florist and the missing detective. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk asterisk. The killers weren't strangers. They were partners. Maybe even more. But if they were working together, why had one gone missing? And who was really pulling the strings? The truth would lead investigators into the darkest chapter yet. To be continued. Perfect. Let's ease the story toward its chilling conclusion while keeping the tension alive. Here's Part 11. Title Asterisk, The Flowers of Death. Part 11. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk, asterisk. 2 notebooks. 2 men. 1 ritual of death. But only one could be the true mastermind. /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk, asterisk. The photograph told the story no one wanted to believe. The florist and the missing detective weren't strangers. They were friends. Maybe more. And that connection explained everything. The access, the inside knowledge. The way the case had been sabotaged from within. But the bigger question remained. Who was leading and who was following? /3. Build up, asterisk, asterisk. Forensics dug into the florist's life. Years of obsession with symbolism, rituals, and folklore flowers. He taught the meanings. He lived them. But he'd never killed until the detective entered his world. The profiler's theory was chilling. The detective was a violence. The florist was a poetry. Together, they created the perfect storm. And now one had vanished. The other was crumbling under the weight of imitation. /4. Mid-story CTA, asterisk, asterisk. If you followed this far, subscribe now, because the end of this garden is closer than ever. /5. Main climax, asterisk, asterisk. Interrogating the florist broke him open. He spoke in riddles, in petals and roots. But one line stood out. Asterisk, the orchid blooms last. And when it does, the hunter becomes the hunted. Asterisk, investigators realized with horror the detective hadn't been taken. He wasn't missing. He was waiting, the true mastermind, planning his final bloom. /6. Cliffhanger/resolution, asterisk, asterisk. But who was his last target? The florist now exposed? The lead investigator he had stalked? Or was it something even bigger? A finale no one could stop? The flowers of death were reaching their end, and the final grave was already waiting, to be continued. Got it. Here's the final chapter that closes the series with a haunting, cinematic resolution. Title asterisk, The Flowers of Death, The Final Bloom. /1. Powerful hook, asterisk, asterisk. The Garden of Graves was nearly complete, and the last flower was about to bloom. /2. Suspenseful setup, asterisk, asterisk. The missing detective was no longer missing. He was hunting. Every step of the investigation had been part of his design. Every flower, every grave, every note. The florist was just a shadow, a follower feeding the ritual. The true killer had always been inside. /3. Build up, asterisk, asterisk. The final stage began with silence. No letters, no packages, no graves. For weeks, investigators feared the calm. Because in cases like this, quiet never means peace. It means preparation. Then one morning, the orchid appeared. Not in a garden, not in a grave, but at the front steps of the police station, laid carefully in a vase. And beside it, a note, asterisk, the hunter is ready. Asterisk, /4. Mid-story CTA, soft final, asterisk, asterisk. If the story has held you in its grip, subscribe, because this is the final bloom. /5. Main climax, asterisk, asterisk. The task force closed in on the detective's abandoned farmhouse. The greenhouse out back glowed faintly in the dark. Inside, hundreds of orchids hung from the rafters. White, pink, purple, every one of them carefully grown for years. At the center stood the detective, calm, silent, hands outstretched as if welcoming them. Around him, freshly dug plots of soil, 6 of them, empty, waiting. When officers rushed forward, the detective didn't fight. He simply whispered, asterisk, you can cut the flowers, but the garden will always grow back. Asterisk, /6, resolution/ending, asterisk, asterisk. He was taken away, but the horror never left the town. The florist testified, the notebooks were archived, the graves were closed. But every spring, when orchids bloomed in wild patches of soil where no one had planted them, Neighbors swore they could still smell the fragrance of lilies, roses, and marigolds, as if the Garden of Death had never truly ended, and perhaps that never will. Sparkles the end.